Good Sunday afternoon. Here we are once again on Sunday. Happy to be with you. Glad that you are here. Happy Sunday. Welcome to what should be a wonderful day. I hope it's already started to be a wonderful day for you. It kind of did for me, and then it got a little cold, which is why I'm wearing a sweatshirt. Um, but it's a beautiful day out. Hi, Heidi. Glad you're here. First one once again. You're awfully good at that. I've been thinking about you and your magic doors all week long, and how much fun that was. I love having a mission. I'm kind of that way anyway. I love to have a mission, and so being on a trip such as we were, and looking specifically for old and kind of magical doors was wonderful. Thank you for that. I don't know if I said thank you way back then, so I want to make sure I do now. Hello, Brenda, darling. How are you? Good afternoon. How are you feeling? Are we healing and getting strong? Yes? Happy Sunday, Jennifer. Chilly where you are, too. Good, it's not just me. I hardly ever feel cold, so when I feel cold, I know that it's cold out there. Tipsy and I went out to feed the birdies and journal this morning, and we fed the birdies and we sat down to journal, and we both looked at each other and went, let's go inside. The wind was cold. It's feeling a bit like Christmas weather, holiday weather, December weather, Hanukkah weather. We're right smack in the middle of Hanukkah, so it is Hanukkah weather, regardless. Doors and crumbling walls, yes. It was a wonderful trip, Heidi. I loved it, and I have so many happy memories of it. Yay for us. Glad we did that. So, how is everybody this morning? How are we doing this morning, this afternoon? See, I can't get out of that. I can get out of that. I will get out of that. How is everybody this afternoon? And is it a glorious day for you? Is the sun shining where you are, even if it's cold? The sun is shining here. It's a beautiful day. It's just cold out there. Oh, Brenda, you're okay? I'm sorry you fell. Did you hurt yourself? Jennifer, you're cute. Finally. So, Brenda, tell us about the fall. Are you all right? Did you do any damage? Yeah. Oh no, I like Jennifer's reaction. Oh no. Sending hugs and prayers and surrounding you with love and and telling you like a mother, don't do that. Like you don't know not to do that. Ah, Joyce, Sandy, and Heidi in the same room, all live to tell the tale. Yes, indeed. Kirk is feeling super. Yay, love that, Superman. Love it. I forbid anyone to fall. I like that, Kurt. There we go. Just issue a proclamation. I like that. There will be no more falling. There will be no more hurting oneself. No, no, no more of that. Superman says so. Ah, aw, Brenda. Hugs, hugs. Yeah, stay off the foot. Oh, sweetie, I'm sorry. Quick prayer. We all know together right now that Brenda's fall created no lasting effects, that she is well, that her body is responding right now to the truth about it, which is that it is whole and perfect and complete. And she feels good and strong and healed and whole. And we are grateful for that, and let it be so. And so it is. There. Sometimes right on the spot prayer is the best kind. Kirk is amending the law of gravity. I like that. Good going, Kirk. Things are happy at the dog park. Glad to hear that, Donna. Glad that you're here. Yeah, Soar's okay. Brenda had a little fall this morning, Donna. So, Soar is permissible. Oh, that's right. Brenda, have you got ice on the places that are sore? We believe in the magic of ice in this household. And I'll tell you, the number of times we have put ice on something that we just thought would be a mess the next day and had it be nothing the next day. So the application of ice, please take care of that. Yes? Brenda lost the sound. Okay. Let's see if you can get it back. Hold on. There. Bag of frozen peas. Works like ice. Yeah. A bag of ice. Don't you love this? Poor Brenda. All these mothers. Say that however you want to say that. But all these mothers. Here we are. Taking care of our girl. Taking care of our girl. Kirk's taking care of any future falls by amending the law of gravity, which I think is great. You go, Kirk. So, how is everybody? How we doing? We are almost midway through December, which means the holidays are right around the corner. Well, some of the holidays are right here, right now. Hanukkah is in full force right here, right now. The Christmas holidays are days away at this stage, as is Ramadan and who knows how many other holidays. I don't have them all in my head. Kirk, you are really with it this morning. Ice and a little shot of whiskey, he says. Makes all feel much better. Indeed. Brenda's going to try the ice. Good girl. Do the ice, baby. It's magic. It's absolutely magic. I don't know why it does what it does, but it does do it. Magically. The number of times that we have I tend not to be the most graceful person in the world, so I bump into things. I know I shouldn't be affirming that, but the statistics say that that's relatively true. Ice. And in no time it feels much better. And you know, the next day when it's usually worse, it tends to be not there. So, ice be good. Ice be real good. Ice and a little shot of whiskey, if that's appropriate for you. Chai tea. So everybody, here we are on a lovely cold Sunday afternoon, gathered together gathered together to think about God. How cool is that? To think about Spirit and how it works in our lives, and how we can take advantage of that to make our lives even better. It's not taking advantage of God. It's taking advantage of what Spirit has made available to us. It's using what we've got in a powerful way to make life better for ourselves and for those we love, and for people we don't even know. What an idea. What an idea to make life better for ourselves, for the people we love, and for people we don't even know, people that we may never know, but whose lives we touch simply because our life is better. Happens all the time. It's that ripple effect. You know, when you throw a stone into a pond and it goes, and I think the stone never really knows, and those first layers of ripples never really know how far it reaches and what it does. But life is like that. And that's good news. So, well, let me talk to you about what I wanted to talk to you about this morning. Let's just start there. And I know that probably some of you will be going home for the holidays, wherever home may be, and some of you will be staying home for the holidays. Most of us probably will be staying home for the holidays. And I just wish for you that home is a place where you can be together with people who support you and love you and care for you. A place where you can play and pray together and simply immerse yourself in the spirit of the season, which is quite grand. Home, they say, is where the heart is. And it occurs to me that our hearts tend to be where our attention is. And since no season speaks so closely to our hearts as this one does, I think it's important that we pay attention. Pay attention to where we're focusing our attention. So here's a holiday pop quiz. You ready? You don't have to write it down. And nobody will know your answers but you. Question 1. Short pop quiz. Question 1. Do you believe in Santa Claus?
I do.
Well, of course you do. Question 2. Do you believe that Santa delivers presents to all the good boys and girls? And most of the naughty ones, too. Question number 3. Do you believe that Santa will be at your house the evening of December 24th? Do you believe in Santa? Do you believe that Santa delivers to all the good boys and girls? And do you believe that Santa will be at your house come Christmas Eve? Keep your answers in your head for a few minutes. If you've been listening to me for any amount of time, and you have, you know that I like to share a Christmas story with our spiritual family every December. And when I asked for input about what story to read this year, there was overwhelming support for the Polar Express, which is written and beautifully illustrated by the creator of Jumanji, Chris Van Allsburg, who won a Caldecott Medal, which is pretty good stuff. The critics raved about Polar Express. They called it intelligent, remarkable, stunning, mystical, and magical. So, herewith, an ever so slightly abbreviated version of the Polar Express. On Christmas Eve, many years ago, I lay quietly in my bed. I did not rustle the sheets. I breathed slowly and silently. I was listening for a sound a friend had told me I'd never hear. The ringing bells of Santa's sleigh. There is no Santa, my friend had insisted. But I knew he was wrong. Late that night, I did hear sounds, though not of ringing bells. From outside came the sounds of hissing steam and squeaking metal. I looked through my window and saw a train standing perfectly still in front of my house. It was wrapped in an apron of steam. Snowflakes fell lightly around it. A conductor stood at the open door of one of the cars. He took a large pocket watch from his vest, then looked up at my window. I put on my slippers and robe. I tiptoed downstairs and out the door. "All aboard!" the conductor cried out. I ran up to him. "Well," he said, "are you coming?" "Where?" I asked. "Why, to the North Pole, of course," was his answer. "This is the Polar Express." I took his outstretched hand, and he pulled me aboard. The train was filled with other children, all in their pajamas and nightgowns. We melted chocolate bars. Outside, the lights of towns and villages flickered in the distance as the Polar Express raced northward. We climbed mountains so high it seemed as if we would scrape the moon. But the Polar Express never slowed down. Faster and faster we ran along, rolling over peaks and through valleys like a car on a roller coaster. The mountains turned into hills, the hills to snow-covered plains. We crossed a barren desert of ice, the great polar ice cap. Lights appeared in the distance. They looked like the lights of a strained ocean liner sailing in a frozen sea. "There," said the conductor, "there is the North Pole." "Look," shouted one of the children, "the elves!" Outside we saw hundreds of elves. As our train drew closer to the center of the North Pole, we slowed to a crawl. So crowded were the streets with Santa's helpers. When the Polar Express could go no farther, we stopped, and the conductor led us outside. We pressed through the crowd at the edge of a large open circle. In front of us stood Santa's sleigh. The reindeer were excited. They pranced and paced, ringing the silver sleigh bells that hung from their harnesses. It was a magical sound, like nothing I'd ever heard. Across the circle, the elves moved apart, and Santa Claus appeared. The elves cheered wildly. He marched over to us and, pointing to me, said, "Let's have this fellow here." He jumped into his sleigh, and the conductor handed me up. I sat on Santa's knee, and he asked, "Now, what would you like for Christmas?" I knew that I could have any gift I could imagine. But the thing I wanted most for Christmas was not inside Santa's giant bag. What I wanted more than anything was one silver bell from Santa's sleigh. When I asked, Santa smiled. Then he gave me a hug and told an elf to cut a bell from the reindeer's harness. The elf tossed it up to Santa. He stood holding the bell high above him and called out, "The first gift of Christmas!" A clock struck midnight as the elves roared their approval. Santa handed the bell to me, and I put it in my bathrobe pocket. The conductor helped me down from the sleigh. Santa shouted out the reindeers' names and cracked his whip. His team charged forward and climbed into the air. Santa circled once above us, then disappeared into the cold, dark, polar sky. As soon as we were back inside the Polar Express, the other children asked to see the bell. I reached into my pocket, but the only thing I felt was a hole. I had lost the silver bell from Santa Claus's sleigh. "Let's hurry outside and look for it," one of the children said. But the train gave a sudden lurch and started moving. We were on our way home. It broke my heart to lose the bell. When the train reached my house, I sadly left the other children. I stood at my doorway and waved goodbye. The conductor said something from the moving train, but I couldn't hear him. "What?" I yelled out. He cupped his hands around his mouth. "Merry Christmas!" he shouted. The Polar Express let out a loud blast from its whistle and sped away. On Christmas morning, my little sister Sarah and I opened our presents. When it looked as if everything had been unwrapped, Sarah found one last small box behind the tree. It had my name on it. Inside was the silver bell. There was a note. "Found this on the seat of my sleigh. Fix that hole in your pocket. Signed, Mr. C." I shook the bell. It made the most beautiful sound my sister and I had ever heard. But my mother said, "Oh, that's too bad." "Yes," said my father, "it's broken." When I'd shaken the bell, my parents hadn't heard a sound. At one time, most of my friends could hear the bell. But as years passed, it fell silent for all of them. Even Sarah found one Christmas that she could no longer hear its sweet sound. Though I've grown old, the bell still rings for me, as it does for all who truly believe. The story tells us that only those who believe can hear. Do you hear what I hear? Can you hear? Do you believe in Santa Claus? In peace on earth? In the magic of believing? Do you? Or have you bought into the myth that you are too old to believe? That belief is for children? Or maybe you're too smart to believe? Or are you just too cynical? And how, may I ask, is that serving your life? Just a question. Oh, we can abandon belief. Nothing will stop us if we're determined. But with what shall we replace it? Certainly, like an unwanted or unappreciated Christmas gift, we can exchange belief for more adult commodities. And should we abandon belief, we will quickly discover doubt, fear, and worry in its place. Maybe you've had that experience. Without wasting our adult time on childish belief, we will have additional moments in which we can do adult things like manipulate and coerce and refigure and reassess and regret. Oh, please don't misunderstand. I'm not suggesting that we gullibly swallow every silly or crazy idea that comes our way. There are things out there that do not merit our belief, that insult our intelligence, that create division and separation and hate. But I'm going to give you credit for being intelligent enough not to choose those things. At least, not consciously. With the infinite variety of things that are in Santa's bag, which I believe is the December version of God's universe, why would one choose lack, limitation, bigotry, hate, disease, loneliness, frustration? Why? What I'm suggesting is that we become more selective about what we believe in and begin to choose to believe ideas that create a greater life for us, for those we love, and for those we don't even know. No one of even mediocre intelligence would choose a mediocre life, or a life of suffering, or a life of lack and limitation. But unless we believe in something greater, that is in fact exactly what we will attract. And we will know we have attracted it because it will look like our lives. It will most probably not affect the quality of our lives to any significant degree if we doubt that reindeer can fly. At 15 miles per hour, they run pretty fast anyway. But they probably don't fly. Which is definitely for the best, since scientific research tells us that it would take approximately 214,200 reindeer to pull a sleigh of 353,430 tons, which is the approximate weight of Santa's sleigh. And that sleigh, traveling at 650 miles per second, which is the speed necessary to make the schedule, would create such enormous air resistance that the entire team would be completely vaporized within 4.26 thousandths of a second, which would be really sad. And it will probably not adversely affect our future if we doubt that Santa really lives full-time at the North Pole, or that God resides in a celestial city where angels perch on clouds. But it does make a significant difference in our lives if we believe that when we are far from home, when we are feeling lonely, when dark clouds loom, it will make a difference if we believe in something greater. Now more than 100 years ago, a little girl named Virginia O'Hanlon wrote to the New York Sun, because her father said, if you see it in the sun, it must be so. And her question was simply, is there a Santa Claus? Her friends had told her that there was not. The New York Sun put their answer into print for Virginia and for all the Virginias in the world. Yes, Virginia, wrote the editor of the most prestigious newspaper. Yes, there is. There is because there has to be. Yes, because the world, your world, needs beauty and joy and poetry and romance and the eternal light of childhood faith. because the world would be dreary without it, just as it would be dreary without you. So what if you haven't seen Santa? So what if you haven't seen God? You haven't seen love or beauty or wonder either, but you've felt their presence. You see what they can do. And you know in your heart that they are real. There is nothing else more real or abiding than these. And they are the real world effect of the presence of God. It is that presence of good, of love, of peace. Yes, that presence of which Santa Claus is the perfect symbol. That presence in which we must believe. We feel lonely or separate. Our silent nights are lonely nights because we believe we are alone. But when we believe in something greater, well, belief changes things. Belief completes the circuit from our hopes and dreams to God, to creation. With belief, we become spiritual magnets and attract to ourselves those things and people and situations in which we believe. Belief is the magical ingredient that really does make all things possible. And we increase our faith and our good not with proof, but with practice. Then, with practice, the proof appears. Love, hope, wonder, peace, yeah, even Santa Claus, all exist as proof of the presence of God. The more we believe, the more we will have to believe in. So, my friends, I'd like to test you once again. Do you believe in Santa Claus? Do you believe that Santa delivers good things to all good boys and girls, and even the naughty ones? Do you believe that Santa will be at your house and in your heart on the night of December 24th? Good. Then, recognizing that Santa Claus is no less than an expression of the divine, as are you, and hearing your statements of faith and believing, I give you this little test of your faith. Do you hear what I hear? Then may the God of love, the spirit of the season, fill you with all joy and peace in believing. Every year, I read that story every year, whether it's one I pass on or not. I read it because it makes my heart feel full. Oh, Kirk, I love what you wrote. It's a great story. That's probably one of my favorites. What's true? I was just passed a note that said, tell them that Merlin the cat, Merlin, you're all getting to know Merlin, aren't you? That Merlin the cat lost or hid your silver bell. She did. I had it all set out, and she was apparently playing with it. We can't quite find it, but we will. It's not lost. And we substituted the golden bell. But see, it's all about believing, isn't it? Isn't it? So, how's your holiday spirit now? It is a beautiful sound, isn't it, Kirk? And a beautiful story. And you know, what's the harm in believing? What's the harm in believing? Those Grinches who would tell you it's silly and there is no Santa and blah, 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 all that stuff. Why? Why take the magic out of believing? Kirk says somewhere in the house I have a copy of The Science of Santa. I do too, and I don't know what I've done with it. But science has spent a good deal of time pondering those things and working out the mathematics and trying to prove to us that scientifically it's not true. Well, who cares? Who cares? Spirituality either agrees with science or trumps it. Magical things happen to people who believe. That I know. That I know. It is a great story, isn't it, Heidi? And I didn't read every word, although I read most of them. I just skipped over a little bit. Yeah. There's something magical about the sound of a bell, isn't there? And I love that this story acknowledges that what the little boy wanted, of all the things he could have asked for, what he wanted was one of the sleigh bells. Can I tell him about the nice bell? We keep a bell in the car. It was left over from a Christmas God knows how long ago. It's still got a little ribbon on it. And keep it on my side of the car. Cat drives most of the time when we're together. And on my side, in one of those little pockets in the handle, there's just a little bell. And we call it the nice bell. And it's there to remind both of us, but especially she who may be driving, and perhaps thinking other than loving thoughts about some of the other drivers who very often deserve to be thought other than loving thoughts. I ring the nice bell, and it's a reminder to be nice, to be kind.
It rings incessantly.
Well, it does ring quite a bit, yes. I'm glad you said that. Nice bell. And it works for me too. I love that, Heidi. Yeah, Santa Claus changes. Of course he does. We do. And the gifts change, yes. But the spirit is the same. The spirit of the season, the spirit of love and giving and good, all those things that Santa represents. And you know, there are those who would say to me, but what about putting the Christ back in Christmas? I never took the Christ out of Christmas. How can you? It's part of the word. How can you? But what we know about the Christmas story is that it didn't happen in December, and there's all kinds of that it usurped a pagan holiday because people were already celebrating beauty and love and the newness of the coming year. They were already doing that. Better we should hold in our hearts the love and the kindness and the giving spirit that the season represents and has always represented, than that we should pin it all on one child and make it an exclusive club. What if it was never meant to be exclusive? What if it was meant to be all encompassing? All inclusive? What if? Oh, Brenda, I'm sorry you lost connection, sweetheart.
Facebook is doing that, so it's not her.
Facebook's doing it? Okay.
Yeah, Facebook going wonky.
Is that a technical term?
Yes.
Okay.
Wonky.
Facebook is going wonky, I'm being told.
Mm-hmm.
So, hopefully everything's on the video. And the rest of you seem to be doing all right with sound. But I know Facebook can be selective. What I discovered, for whatever this may be worth, was that I cannot do this with you, for you, at you, with my normal browser on Internet Explorer. Or on, what do I use? Google. I can't do it. On Chrome, that's the word I was looking for. I have to go in on Firefox because Chrome won't recognize my camera or my microphone. Well, sometimes it'll recognize the camera, but it won't recognize the microphone. And everything else is in order and tells me it's there, but Chrome says, nope, you don't have a microphone. So I went in on Firefox, and Firefox knows that I'm here and handles it just fine. Now, it's the only thing I use Firefox for. Maybe I need to think about that. But that could be a difference, too. So, Brenda, I'm going to suggest that maybe you try Firefox just for this. Bless your heart. And we can always play it back later, can't we? Yes. I hope you all enjoyed the story. It really is just precious, I think. It's just precious. And, I wish I'd had it when my kids were little to read to them. They got The Night Before Christmas, which is fine. But I think this one's even better. It's the new classic, isn't it? So it was a joy to share it with you. If you didn't already know the story, then I'm thrilled to have introduced you to it. And if you had heard it before but hadn't really gotten into it, I hope you have now, because I just think it's fabulous. I have several other children's Christmas stories in particular. That's kind of, I like to collect them. Because I think they're wonderful. And the message is always clear and concise and speaks to the child, I think, within each one of us. And we can all use that, can't we? And this time of year, I think we're more open to that the child within us is closer to the surface than it is maybe the rest of the year. Kirk, you have just been in the most wonderful mood today, and I love it. Do you kind of get why Jennifer loves him? Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, Hazel will love it, Kirk. Hazel will love it. I just think everybody. I think there should be a copy of the Polar Express in everybody's house, and that everybody should read it to their children, whether they're 5 or 50, every year, just to remind us. Yeah, it's the most wonderful book. I just love it. And the movie was pretty good too. But there's something about the book and Christmas and yeah, yeah. Well, my dear, 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 dear friends, how about before we sign off, we pray? That just seems like a good idea to me. Let's pray ourselves into the holidays, into the spirit of the season, shall we? So you know the drill. Close your eyes or soft focus if that's what feels good. And just take a breath, whether it's a great big deep one because that's what you need, or whether it's just a sweet little breath. You know what's right for you. And let that breath take you within. To the sacred place of the Most High. To that magical place that abides within you. To what the mystics call the Holy of Holies. Another breath. Gently, gently moves you from your awareness of those things around about you into an awareness of those things deeply within you. That's where the magic is. And so I know for each of us that we are surrounded by and immersed in an atmosphere of pure love, an atmosphere of seasonal magic, an atmosphere of giving and receiving, of loving and being loved, of joy, of wonder, of miracles. And I know for each of us this miraculous season simply brings to our awareness what is already there, is always there. The presence and the power and the wonder working ability of spirit, of creation, of that which is the essence of all things. And this season brings it to our attention more clearly, more dearly. And we simply allow ourselves to be immersed in the wonder and open our hearts a little wider, our minds a little clearer. We are open to the spirit of the season, which is the spirit of all seasons. But most particularly, now we allow ourselves to be aware, to be both blessed and blessing, to give from our overflow, to receive from our abundance, to love with all of our hearts, to be kind, to be understanding, to be the presence of the presence. This season is magical if we let it be. It is healing if we let it be. It is giving if we let it be, and we let it be by believing. We simply open ourselves now to the magic that surrounds us and allow that magic to move deeply within us. And with all of our hearts and our open minds, we allow ourselves to believe. And so it is. And so we let it be. I agree, Heidi, it did go fast. I agree. Well, with a little help from the Polar Express. Chris Van Allsburg. Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. He also wrote Jumanji, The Wreck of the Zephyr, and The Garden of Abdul Gasazi. Gasazi. Caldecott winner. Beautiful, beautiful book. Beautiful illustrations. Beautifully done. Thanks for being here today. I am grateful for your company. I love you all. Happy Sunday afternoon. Happy rest of your day. I hope you are spending it doing something that lifts your heart and your spirit and opens your mind and creates miracles. Brenda, put that ice on, baby. You're going to be well. Love you. Take really good care of yourselves. And I'll see you on Wednesday.